As Eskom continues to battle to keep the lights on, more businesses are looking at becoming independent power producer. However, the costs and the red tape around this are very important to consider. Independent energy economist Lungile Mashele says only government can help. She joins us now. Lungile, good evening to you, and thank you very much indeed for your time. How expensive is it to start an independent power producer and to actually end up producing power for the grids currently managed by Eskom?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. So if you're looking at connecting to the grid and you're looking at participating through the renewable energy IPP program, this could set you back anywhere between 30 to 42 million just in development costs. And a lot of people are not aware of this because there's this mad rush to bring on new projects quickly. However, it really is a game of the deep pockets. And more often than not, it means that international players will be able to participate, and very few South Africans, if any, will be able to play in this space.
Is a lot of this application costs, government costs? Could government make this process cheaper, or is it just the cost is what it is?
No, the cost is what it is. If I were to use the upper end of about 42 million, 20 million of this just goes towards the front-end engineering designs, conceptual designs, and your final designs. Then, of course, you have lots of other licensing, plus the development of the land. You're looking at water use licensing, civil aviation authority authorizations. You also need to do an assessment of the land itself, so a geotechnical assessment, looking at the solar or the wind resource that you will be deploying there also. All of these costs are insurmountable, and you're basically looking at total all-in costs of about 42 million. Naturally, if you're developing more than one site, you can achieve economies of scale. But if you were just looking at one site, they are very, very costly to actually develop. Government does have a role to play, and the role is in this early stage for what we call risk funding or development funding that is required. You are sitting on development finance institutions, DFIs. You've got asset managers that are sitting on a lot of money that can disperse this money, looking at the early stage capital that is required. And it's not as risky as what it's laid out to be. If it was as risky as what people are actually saying, then the world's largest pension fund, law fund, would not be investing in South African projects at this scale. The UK, US, EU would not be investing in their own entities to come into South Africa and invest in renewable projects here.
Aren't Patrice Motsepe and Mike TK also spending quite a lot of money? Aren't they also getting involved?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you actually brought them up, because you're talking about individuals who are extremely wealthy and are able to put in their equity, and they're also able to leverage on their networks and also bring in other individuals that are able to participate. However, if we're talking about whether it's broad-based economic participation, or we're just looking to transform the sector as a whole, we're not going to do it one Patrice at a time. We're going to need to unlock the entire industry for value for everybody, and especially in the communities that are most affected by these projects. Nothing is stopping us as a country from having 10, 20 locally owned IPPs. We currently have over 90 IPPs that are operational on the grid, most of them, if not all, internationally owned. That is unacceptable, Stephen.
Once you've got things up and running, so you spend your 42 million rand to get to a particular point, I presume you spend more money actually building the thing. Once you've got it up and running, are you then got a license to print money?
Well, luckily, over the years, the projects have become cheaper. I would say, yes, round one, round two, you're talking printing money. But projects have become leaner now and have become more in line with what we'd expect of international norms. But you're looking at a 75 megawatt solar PV facility is about 1.5 billion rand. And you're looking at about 140 megawatt wind farm is about 3 billion rand, ultimately. So there's a lot of significant capital investment which needs to come in. But you see, that's not even the difficult part. Actually, that's the easy part. A lot of lenders, locally, internationally, are clamoring to fund this end part. This billion or 3 billion, they're more than willing to fund that. But in order to unlock that value, we need that 42 million to be funded. And it needs to be for South African projects, South African developers and South African owners. Otherwise, all we're really encouraging is a flight of capital to the EU, to the US, and to the UK, ultimately.
Lungile Mashele, thank you, energy economist. Do appreciate the time.